There's a type of product professional that everyone hates working with, that nobody respects, who's always putting out fires and never builds anything meaningful, who's always stressed, always running around, always making excuses for not delivering what they promised. Well, I think you, me, everyone knows or has met this kind of professional at some point in their life. Everyone has worked with this kind of professional before. And here's the truth that nobody wants to admit. You've probably been that professional yourself. Or worse, you might be that person right now and haven't even realized it yet. So what I'm talking about here is the reactive PM, the infamous corporate firefighter. And the cruelest part is nobody becomes this kind of PM out of incompetence. You become one out of kindness, out of wanting to help, out of not knowing how to say no. And so just to leave it here, to spice up our conversation a bit, let's illustrate this talk with Anna's case. Talented, dedicated, always willing to solve any problem. Now just take a look at what Anna's week was like. Monday, the sales team requests an urgent change to the onboarding process. Anna drops everything, organizes a meeting, aligns expectations. Tuesday, customer support reports a critical bug. That affects 3 clients. Anna pulls an all-nighter with engineering to solve the problem. Then Wednesday comes and the CEO wants an executive dashboard for Thursday's presentation. So Anna cancels her one-on-one and focuses on this dashboard. Then on Thursday, the presentation goes well. The CEO is happy. So far, so good. On Friday, Anna looks back and realizes she barely spent even an hour working on her own product vision. 0 strategic progress. That was Anna's week. Every week for 2 years, Anna has been working like this. The result is that she's become a crisis manager disguised as a PM. The engineering team doesn't take her seriously because she changes priorities every week. Stakeholders see her as an executor, not a strategist, so they don't even consider her from that perspective. They don't count on her support for strategy for her to improve the product vision and the day-to-day and so on. She herself has lost touch with what a product professional is actually supposed to do, and then Anna realizes that she isn't a PM. Anna is a symptom of a dysfunctional organization that found someone willing to be the escape valve for all its structural problems. Do you know how competent product managers end up becoming corporate firefighters? I'll tell you, it's a gradual process, almost imperceptible. And because of that, I've listed here 6 factors that I'd like to share with you, which you might recognize, but I assure you any resemblance is purely coincidental, okay? The first factor is you solve an urgent problem well. Everyone is happy and praises you. Your brain starts associating solving urgent issues with recognition. At this point, you've already developed a successful habit. The second factor is that the organization learns that you're reliable in emergencies. So instead of addressing structural causes, they assign you as a permanent human solution. You become the company's Band-Aid, Pretty much that. The third factor is that emergencies consume 100% of your time. So strategic work gets postponed until things calm down. And here's a spoiler for you. It never calms down. That's the issue, because you yourself have become part of the system that creates emergencies. It's as simple as that. And then the fourth factor is that you lose technical authority. So the team realizes you don't have time to deeply understand the products. Your opinions become just another external demand instead of strategic guidance, right? And this is quite serious because you end up undermining even your team's trust in you, right? And the fifth factor, the harshest one, is that you internalize the idea that your value lies in your ability to put out fires, right? And putting out emergencies. So you stop investing in long-term vision because the short term is where you shine, so to speak. That's where you stand out, let's put it that way. And finally, dysfunctional organizations create a dependency on the firefighter PM because it's easier to have someone running after problems than to invest in processes that prevent those problems. This is a classic in many companies. So you absolutely have to keep in mind that you're not truly the hero or the heroine who is saving the entire company. In the end, by constantly putting yourself in this reactive firefighter role, you're just a symptom, merely masking serious underlying organizational illnesses. And then you end up self-sabotaging as a product professional, which is expected from a product professional, right? So how do you get out of this reactive PM trap and go back to being strategic? I think the suggestions I'm going to give here go a bit against your instincts as a good collaborator. But I think it's important that you take at least some of these suggestions and adapt them to your own context, right? Critically assess and adapt as needed, whatever is necessary, right? Use whatever is necessary. So the first suggestion is identify this fake fire, so to speak, right? Not every urgency is a real emergency, right? I'd even say that most of the I need it yesterday requests can wait 48 hours without any real business impact, right? Test this hypothesis. Let some urgencies wait a little, and then you can analyze how things unfold. The second suggestion is to set fire days and strategy days. So, for example, Mondays and Thursdays are just for urgencies, and Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays you protect for deep work. Don't negotiate these crucial time blocks. Instead, set them firmly aside in your daily schedule so you can fully and completely dedicate yourself to these two important situations, to these two specific scenarios. The third suggestion is to document the cost of reactivity, Start keeping a PM diary. So this week I handled, X urgencies, but I delayed project Y, which was strategic and could have generated a certain value. So make it visible, make visible what you are sacrificing. I actually think it's interesting for you to share this with your team and even with your leadership and your peers. Talk about this. It's super healthy for team energy so that things really flow in the best way. And this directly contributes to the team's results. The fourth suggestion is teach stakeholders how to prioritize. Instead of accepting everything as urgent, push a little for choices, Ask the simple question, look, can I do A or B this week? Which one is more critical for you? Push the responsibility of prioritization back to the person who should have it. And the fifth suggestion is invest in systems that reduce future urgencies. So in better documentation that reduces doubts, in clear processes that reduce misunderstandings, in proactive communication that reduces anxiety. So every hour invested in the system, so to speak, saves about 10 hours of firefighting. So I think it's important for you to pay attention to this because it will also save you from always having to put out fires and neglecting your main role, your primary responsibilities. The sixth suggestion is negotiate an interruption budget. What does that mean, Evelyn? Well, 20% of your time for urgencies, 80% for strategy, right? So when the urgency budget runs out, the next urgent activities get pushed to the following week, So this suggestion is actually somewhat related, if not completely related, to the second suggestion I gave about dividing your week into blocks, right? And finally, the last suggestion for you to consider is to question whether you are actually being a product manager or just a project manager in disguise. Both are fundamental, both are super important, but product defines the what and the why, and project organizes the how and the when. They are, as I said, super important and complementary roles, but different, requiring different mindsets. And to wrap up, a basic reflection I want you to make. And I hope this resonates, echoes in your daily life. When was the last time you worked on something that will only deliver results 6 months from now? When was the last time you worked on something that will generate results 6 months from now? When was the last time you said no to an urgent matter because you had something more important to do? If you can't remember, you already know which kind of PM you've become, then it's not your fault, okay? I know it's not. It's the trap that catches all PMs who care too much. But here's the liberating truth, okay? You don't have to put out every fire. You need to build things that prevent fires, right? So here's another phrase, right? From the T-shirt phrase series, this is another one. You need to build things that prevent fires. So ignoring small problems to focus on big opportunities makes a big difference in your daily life, your reputation, and your career. That's it for today. That's all.